Something strange has emerged beneath Alaska's frozen rivers. An ancient force once thought lost forever. What scientists found in 2025 could change everything we know about the Arctic.
Residents are being strongly encouraged to evacuate their homes as record-breaking glacier-related flooding is expected today.
Something unimaginable has surfaced beneath Alaska's frozen rivers, an ancient force that scientists thought was buried forever. What they discovered in 2025 is so shocking, it could rewrite history, science, and the future of the Arctic itself. For centuries, Alaska's rivers have been locked under ice and snow, guarding secrets as old as time. The mighty Yukon, the Kuskokwim, and countless smaller streams carved their way through permafrost, freezing layer upon layer of history. But now, as temperatures rise and satellites peer into the Earth, scientists are uncovering something beneath these frozen waters that defies explanation. Beneath the shifting channels and melting ice, long-hidden structures, gases, and even signs of ancient life are emerging. And the implications are terrifying. Reports began with small anomalies, methane bubbles rising through cracks, sudden fissures in riverbanks, and strange pulses recorded deep below the ice. At first, researchers thought it was permafrost thaw, nothing unusual in a warming Arctic. But then came the shocking revelations. Vast underground chambers, fossilized remains of unknown creatures, and seismic signals hinting at tectonic stress building beneath the rivers themselves. The frozen rivers of Alaska are no longer silent. They are speaking, and the world is finally listening. Could these rivers be hiding a ticking time bomb? One capable of unleashing catastrophic floods, ancient diseases, or even geological upheaval? And if so, is Alaska about to reveal the most terrifying chapter in its history? Chapter 1. Alaska's Frozen River. Secrets. Alaska's frozen rivers lies a hidden vault, a time machine buried in ice, and it's finally breaking open. For tens of thousands of years, layers of permafrost have locked away secrets of the Earth's most brutal age, the Pleistocene. Plants, animals, and even traces of early human life remain sealed like relics in a natural freezer. But now the doors to that freezer are creaking open, and what's slipping out has scientists terrified. When researchers drilled core samples from the Yukon River basin, they expected frozen mud. Instead, they unearthed a treasure trove of ancient pollen, animal remains, and fish bones from a world that existed long before modern civilization. But the most chilling discovery? Microscopic life. Viruses and bacteria, perfectly preserved in the frost, dormant, but not dead. In Siberia, similar microbes were revived after 30,000 years in permafrost, alive, active, infectious. Could Alaska be hiding the same ticking biological bombs? And the evidence isn't just in the lab. Along thawing riverbanks, hunters and locals have stumbled upon tusks, skulls, and entire bones bursting from collapsing ice walls. Some look so fresh, you'd swear the animal died yesterday. Imagine standing on the bank of the Yukon, watching the ground cough up the remains of a mammoth. Its bones pale against the mud, its secrets frozen in time. Would you feel awe or fear? Because here's the truth. While fossils fascinate, microbes terrify. What happens if ancient pathogens, trapped for millennia, flow downstream into modern waters? Could they infect fish that Alaskan villages rely on? Could they reach global markets through rivers that feed the sea? Could a simple crack in the ice spark a health crisis we are utterly unprepared for? The ground is shifting, the rivers are thawing, and the past is clawing its way back into the present. The question isn't whether Alaska's frozen rivers hold secrets, it's whether humanity is ready to face them when they finally emerge. From this, Chapter 2. Methane explosions under ice. The first true warning sign wasn't fossils, it was gas. Along the Yukon and other frozen rivers, locals began noticing violent bubbling beneath sheets of winter ice. At first, people thought it was trapped air escaping, but scientists quickly realized this was methane, a greenhouse gas far more dangerous than carbon dioxide. Beneath Alaska's frozen rivers lies a hidden network of organic material, dead plants and animals frozen for millennia. As permafrost thaws, microbes awaken and begin to feast, decomposing this ancient matter and releasing methane in staggering volumes. In some places, so much gas builds up that the ice literally explodes, shooting flames when lit. Videos of villagers igniting methane bubbles in frozen ponds have gone viral, but behind the spectacle lies a terrifying truth. Methane is about 25 times more powerful than CO2 at trapping heat in the atmosphere. And in Alaska's rivers, scientists estimate there could be billions of tons waiting to escape. One researcher called it a climate time bomb, sealed beneath ice that's now cracking open. Imagine standing on a frozen river and watching the ice swell like a balloon, then burst with a thunderous roar. That's not just melting, that's the Earth screaming. If these emissions accelerate, they could supercharge global warming, pushing the planet toward a point of no return. And if you think methane explosions are terrifying, wait until you see what else is stirring beneath Alaska's rivers. Something far stranger than gas and infinitely more dangerous. Chapter 3. Cracking Ice Rivers, Alaska. From above, Alaska's rivers seem eternal. Serpentine ribbons of blue and white winding through a frozen wilderness that looks untouched by time. But satellites in 2025 shattered that illusion. They revealed something shocking. The rivers aren't holding steady anymore. They're cracking, shifting, and abandoning their ancient paths. Entire bends have collapsed in a matter of weeks, leaving behind ghost channels, silent scars etched across the tundra. Why should this terrify us? Because when frozen rivers break, they don't do it quietly. They unleash chaos. Along the Kuskokwim, villagers have watched ice blocks the size of trucks crash downstream, pulverizing docks and snapping fishing boats in half. In the Yukon basin, whole riverbanks have caved in, swallowing cabins and fishing camps as if they never existed. These rivers were once stable lifelines, but with the permafrost beneath them melting, their very foundations are dissolving, and the collapse isn't gradual, it's accelerating. Scientists warn of a deadly domino effect. Cracks weaken the ice, the banks crumble, the waters rise, and entire floodplains can be erased in hours. Imagine waking at midnight to a deafening crack, the ground trembling beneath you, then looking out to see a wall of water and debris racing straight towards your home. Where would you run? What terrifies experts most is unpredictability. These fractures don't follow seasonal thaw cycles anymore. They're breaking free of nature's old rules. Floods arrive in months once considered safe. Rivers carve new channels where maps show none. Even seasoned locals admit the land feels unstable. Could it be that Alaska's rivers, once symbols of permanence, are on the verge of total collapse? And if the arteries of the Arctic are breaking, how long before the shock waves ripple far beyond Alaska itself? Chapter 4. Some mammoth bones emerging. It started with a single discovery, an ivory tusk jutting from a collapsing riverbank like the horn of a buried beast. But it didn't stop there. Rib bones, skulls, entire skeletons began to emerge, pulled from the muddy grip of thawing ice. Locals described it as awe-inspiring, almost otherworldly, like Alaska itself was coughing up the remains of giants. A hidden graveyard, locked away for tens of thousands of years, was suddenly on display for anyone brave enough to look. At first glance, these discoveries feel like treasures. Mammoth tusks as long as a man, bison skulls bigger than car hoods, fragments of creatures that once thundered across Ice Age plains. But scientists warn this isn't just a paleontological jackpot, it's a red flag. In stable permafrost, these bones should have remained frozen for centuries more. Their sudden appearance means something has changed. The rivers are cutting deeper, faster, tearing through ancient deposits as if time itself has snapped loose. And then there are the unknowns. Some remains don't fit neatly into the fossil record. Jawbones too large, skulls with strange ridges. Could Alaska's rivers be exposing species we've never seen before? Creatures that science can't yet name? And if intact skeletons surface, might they also carry preserved tissue, blood, even DNA? Could humanity soon face the temptation or the horror of reviving the past? But every fossil comes with a shadow. Where there are bones, there are microbes. Where there is thawing, there is risk. Imagine children playing along a riverbank, stumbling upon a carcass that looks fresh but is 20,000 years old. What invisible passengers might escape into the modern world? So the question looms, are Alaska's rivers simply revealing history? Or are they tearing open the gates to dangers we can't yet measure? Chapter 5. Underground chambers discovered. Just when scientists thought Alaska's rivers couldn't hold more secrets, sonar scans revealed something utterly baffling. Beneath the frozen riverbeds, hidden under layers of ice and mud, lay vast hollow spaces. Caverns stretching for hundreds of meters, their walls fragile, their ceilings unstable. These weren't small cracks, they were entire underground chambers, carved deep into the permafrost, like black voids yawning beneath the rivers. How did they form? Some researchers suggest they were sculpted by ancient floods thousands of years ago. Others believe seismic shifts fractured the ground, leaving cavernous scars. A few whisper about unknown geological processes, possibly even collapsed lava tubes lurking beneath the Arctic landscape. No matter the cause, one fact terrifies scientists. These chambers are unstable, and they are growing weaker as the ice melts. Imagine standing on a frozen river in midwinter. The surface feels solid beneath your boots, but just a few meters below, an empty chamber waits, its roof thinning every day. One collapse, and the entire river could vanish into the ground, swallowing water, ice, trees, even people in an instant. It's not a flood from above, but a collapse from below. And there's more. Gas monitors detected unusual buildups inside these voids. Methane, carbon dioxide, and possibly other compounds. Could these underground pockets be storing explosive quantities of greenhouse gases, waiting for one fracture to release them into the atmosphere? What happens if multiple chambers collapse at once? Could Alaska's rivers literally implode? To scientists, these hollow spaces are ticking time bombs. To the rest of us, they're a terrifying reminder that beneath the icy beauty of Alaska lies a labyrinth of secrets, dark, unstable, and potentially catastrophic. So here's the question, are these chambers relics of the past? Chapter 6. Seismic tremors in Alaska. As if melting ice and hollow chambers weren't terrifying enough, a new signal began to ripple through Alaska in 2025. Seismic tremors. At first, they were faint, tiny pulses barely detectable except by the most sensitive instruments. But soon, clusters of microquakes appeared beneath frozen river valleys. They weren't random. They lined up along hidden fractures, hinting at something much bigger moving in the depths of the Earth. Alaska is already one of the most earthquake-prone places on the planet. It sits atop powerful fault lines, including the monstrous Aleutian subduction zone. But these tremors were different. They weren't offshore. They weren't along known faults. They were directly beneath frozen rivers. Scientists stared at their seismographs in disbelief. Could it be that these rivers sit on top of dormant fractures? Faults that have been locked for centuries, now waking as the permafrost retreats? Local villagers described what instruments could only hint at: deep, growling rumbles beneath the ice. Some said it sounded like thunder underground. Others reported seeing long cracks tear across frozen channels seconds before the tremors hit. Imagine standing on the banks of the Yukon, watching the ice ripple like liquid as the ground beneath it groans. Would you run or freeze in place, waiting for the earth to decide your fate? Even satellites picked up strange signs. The ground appeared to be rising and sinking by millimeters, as though the crust itself was breathing. In seismic science, these subtle uplifts often come before major quakes. So the terrifying question remains: are these tremors harmless whispers, or the Earth's countdown to something far more catastrophic? Could Alaska's frozen rivers be the unlikely epicenter of the next great quake? Chapter 7. Ancient viruses in permafrost bones. And gas are terrifying enough, but what truly keeps scientists awake at night are the microbes. In 2025, samples pulled from thawing riverbanks revealed something far more sinister than mammoth tusks or methane bubbles. Locked inside the sediments were fragments of viruses and bacteria, frozen in the dark for tens of thousands of years, perfectly preserved, dormant, but not dead. For years, experts warned this could happen. In Siberia, thawing permafrost once released anthrax spores, killing reindeer and sickening people. If something similar lurks beneath Alaska's frozen rivers, the consequences could ripple far beyond the Arctic. These microbes predate modern medicine. Humanity has no immunity. Scientists working in controlled labs tested fragments from these samples, and some showed signs of life. Imagine it. A virus frozen since the Ice Age suddenly active again, spilling into a river that supplies fish, drinking water and food to entire communities. What happens if it spreads downstream? What if it mutates? Could one thawed particle spark a new pandemic? Born not in crowded cities, but from the melting edge of a frozen river. And this isn't just theory. Locals along the Kuskokwim and Yukon rely on these rivers for survival. Salmon runs feed villages. Hunters drink and wash from these waters. If ancient pathogens enter that cycle, they won't stay confined to the Arctic. They'll travel the globe. The unsettling truth is this: every thaw, every collapse is like opening a biological time capsule without knowing what's inside. Fossils may fascinate, but microbes terrify. So here's the question. What if the past isn't just coming back as bones and relics, but as invisible enemies ready to invade the present? And will humanity be prepared, or caught off guard by a danger older than civilization itself? Chapter 8. Vanishing Alaska, Permafrost. The rivers aren't just thawing, they're sinking. Across Alaska, entire stretches of riverbank are collapsing as the permafrost beneath them melts. This phenomenon, called thermokarst, is transforming solid ground into unstable swamps and lakes. In 2025, drone footage showed entire forests leaning sideways, their roots pulled loose as the soil beneath them liquefied. Cabins slid into rivers, roads buckled, and vast chunks of farmland disappeared overnight. Once these frozen soils acted like concrete, holding the land firm, now they are turning to sludge. The collapse isn't localized, it's spreading. As rivers cut deeper into thawing ground, they expose more permafrost, which melts faster, creating a self-reinforcing cycle. Scientists warn it could destabilize entire watersheds. The danger isn't only structural. Melting permafrost releases stored carbon and methane, accelerating climate change. But even more immediate is the threat to people who live along these rivers. Indigenous villages, many already on fragile land, face the choice of abandoning centuries-old homelands or risking sudden collapse. Imagine walking outside to find the earth beneath your home split open, sinking toward the water. This isn't a distant future, it's happening now. The rivers are vanishing into the ground, and with them, entire ways of life. Chapter 9. Arctic Climate Domino Effect. What happens in Alaska doesn't stay in Alaska. The frozen rivers of the Arctic are part of a vast interconnected climate system, and their unraveling could trigger a domino effect that reaches every corner of the planet. When methane escapes from thawing rivers, it traps heat in the atmosphere, amplifying global warming. Warmer air melts more ice, releasing even more gas, a feedback loop spiraling out of control. Scientists warn that this methane burst could push Earth past the tipping point, a line where climate change accelerates faster than humanity can stop it. Meanwhile, life itself begins to falter. Melting rivers threaten entire food webs. Salmon runs, lifelines for people, bears, eagles, and forests, could vanish as waters warm and currents shift. Massive floods dump sediment into the ocean, choking coral reefs and plankton blooms. Weather patterns as far south as California begin to warp, storms gaining new fury from a destabilized Arctic. And then comes the human reckoning. Rising seas, crops failing under erratic seasons, communities displaced not by war, but by the slow violence of a shifting climate. Imagine a single crack in an Alaskan riverbank, ice splitting, methane bursting free, setting off a chain reaction that helps reshape weather, coastlines, and cities an ocean away. Chapter 9. Alaska's final catastrophic warning. By 2025, the message from Alaska's frozen rivers has become impossible to ignore. Methane bubbles rise from the ice, ancient bones surface, microbes stir after tens of thousands of years. The land itself splits and sinks. Rivers that once symbolized endurance are now messengers of collapse. Scientists say we are no longer studying slow change. We are watching a system unravel in real time. And what terrifies them most isn't any single discovery, but the convergence of all of them. Methane explosions, ancient viruses, seismic tremors, vanishing permafrost. Each one is a threat. Together, they form a perfect storm that could rewrite the planet's future. Alaska has become a mirror, reflecting a world teetering on the edge. It shows us what happens when frozen safeguards fail, when the past, once buried in ice, awakens to confront the present. The rivers are transforming faster than models predicted, faster than governments can react. If Alaska is the front line, then the rest of Earth is standing right behind it. So we're left with a question that chills deeper than the permafrost itself. Is this natural evolution, or the first act of a planetary disaster? Don't look away. Follow, share, and join the discussion, because what's happening beneath Alaska's frozen rivers today may soon surge through every corner of our warming world.